Okay, so once you've finalized your log sheet, observer, and summaries calculation, you are now in the next tab, which is the calculation methods. This tab will enable you to select a specific calculation method for your ACEs, and we are going to see each individual methods and how they are working, how things get calculated. So in this form, which is for per seine, you get two grids. You get the retain catch grid per species and the discarded grid per species as well. And the methods are different from, not totally, but you've got some additional methods in the discarded one. I'll go through these methods. So if you point at the method, you'll have an extensive explanation of this method, but we'll go through each of them. Method number one is based on observer average weight per trip. These average weights are calculated in the observer tabs. And so average weights per trip, which are multiplied by the number of trips. So we're raising the average weight per trip to the total number of trip. Method number two is not too far away from method number one, but it's using the observer calculated average weights per day and multiplying this by the total number of days that are calculated in summaries. Method number three is based mainly on log sheet. So this is really what has been calculated in the log sheet tab. So this is exactly, you see how for big eye, this is the raised catch. And we find this here. So this is the log sheet catch, which has been raised. And method number four, which is a little bit more tricky, is based on the observer, like method number two numbers, but the species composition has been adjusted to the log sheet by using the log sheet numbers. So this is a method which is there at the moment, but it might disappear because it's a little bit tricky and it's probably not the best one that is wanted. What you can see here in the next column is the recommended method. So for each species, there's a recommended method that you should choose. Like for example, for albacore, it's more recommended to use method number two. When for big eye, and generally speaking for the main tuna species, it's more recommended to use method number three, which is based on the log sheet. Generally speaking, it's better to use as much as possible method number three, which is based on log sheet. And the reason is that most of the time now the coverage for log sheet is good. So if some of the species are reported, I would think that method number three based on log sheet is better to be selected. If there's no data for log sheet, then you can prefer maybe method number two. I would really prefer these two methods compared to the other one. Method number two is definitely preferred to method number one, and method number four will probably not exist in the next release of this form. So again, the two methods to be prioritized are method number two and three, with a priority on method number three. So now if we go to the discarded grid, you can see that you have exactly the same method number one, two, but method number five is a new one, and basically this is the log sheet estimate of discards. So again here, you've got one observer-based method, method number two, and one log sheet-based estimate of the discards. If your log sheet coverage is good, which is mostly the case nowadays, you can use the estimate coming from the log sheet, which have been raised to the total number of trips. But again, here the recommended method for discards is usually method number two, which is based on observer. And the reason for that is that usually the discards are less reported in log sheet than the retain catch, and so that's why we prioritize observer data, because discards are more properly reported from observer data. But again, if you have some information in the log sheet data on discards, you can use this method. So if for a reason you want to change the recommended method, here it's you can see for this one it's method number 2. Let's say that we want to select method number 5. We want to select this number instead. What you have to do to change it, you go in the corresponding box here and you select method number 5. And this should select method number 5 instead of method number 2. So this is the way to change the method. And as you change the method, the number here would have been replicated here, which is the final estimates that will be taken into account. So this is it for the per seine calculation methods that you can select, change, or do whatever you want. If you need more information, again, you've got a quick description here of the methods, but if you point at each method, you get a much bigger description. And also, what you can do is to open or download the TDW 2 ACE tutorial that you will find on the TDW webpage. And then in here, you've got all the description of what you can do, what you should do, but also you've got a description of each method here as well. So this closes this video on the calculation methods.